Hi mate, so here I am ready to make a new batch of kombucha. Right, so I have two large saucepans on the boil and the water is now boiling, so I'm ready now to add my green tea. So I'm going to turn the power off. The idea is you don't want to overcook the tea. Tea has a good optimum temperature for brewing, and if it's boiling and bubbling away, that is actually going to ruin the taste of the tea very slightly. I mean, this is what tea gurus say. I don't know whether it does or not, but I just stick to it anyway. So I'm just going to take that off the hot plate just for a couple of seconds. I don't want it still to boil, I want it to stop boiling. I think the optimal temperature is something like 90 degrees or something, but it doesn't really matter too much. All I do is take it off the actual boil like that, so it won't bubble up anymore. Right, now that's calmed down, I'm going to add some sencha tea. So I've got my sencha tea here. It's the same one you're going to get. And how much tea you add is up to you. I experiment. Now, some of it I've added 4 tablespoons of tea. Some of it I've done 8. I kind of experiment with how much to do, trying to find the perfect flavour, and I still haven't really found the perfect flavour. The really nice one that you tasted, I can't remember how many I put in. Sometimes I experiment with some green tea and some black tea as well. But this one here, I'm just going to do. I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of tea in each one. Okay, so 3 tablespoons, so that'll make 6 overall for the whole lot, and that's for the whole jar for the 8 litres here. So I have my little tablespoon measuring spoon over here, and I'm going to put in. Easy to do with one hand, but I'm going to give it a go. There you go, there's 1. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3 in that one. Okay, and the same with the other one. Now once I've done this, I'm going to let it sit, and again, however long you let it sit is entirely up to you. I usually do about half an hour. Okay, so I let it sit there and brew for half an hour before I then change it. But again, the longer you let it brew or the shorter you let it brew, that will affect the flavour completely. Okay, so that's got to be down to you. So there we go. There is now 3 tablespoons of green tea in each one, and then I'm going to give it a little stir like this. Make sure all those leaves are fully saturated. There we go, and I'm going to let that brew for half an hour. While it's brewing, I'm going to put the lids back on just to keep the heat in, so it's got the maximum heat while it's brewing. Okay, once I've let that brew, I'm then going to transfer it to my jar over here. Now my jar will have sugar in it, okay? And for sugar, again, it's all down to you. So the standard measurement for this type of jar, which is the 8 litre jar, which you have, is 2 cups of sugar. So you see I've got a measuring cup here, 2 cups of sugar. And again, you can experiment, you can do 1.5, or if you like it sweet, you can do 3. You can even try 4 if you want. So I'm going to put 1 in there like that. And there's another one there. It's not quite full, so I'm going to put a tiny bit more into that one. There we go. So that should be just over 2 of sugar in there. Now, once this has brewed for half an hour, okay, we're going to put it into here. But we're going to use the strainer. So you should have one of these straining bags. We should have 2 of them if you bought the one I sent you the link to. So what we do then is to pour that, or put that into there like that. Okay, I'll tuck that over the edge. Okay, and then I pour the saucepan, the contents of the saucepans, into here. Okay, and then once it's done, I pull this out. I give it a little squeeze, and you'll end up to about here with tea. Okay, and then you want to fill up the rest with water till about there. Yeah, and that's when you add your SCOBY mixture. Okay, so your SCOBY mixture is going to look something like this. So I have my little SCOBYs here, that's saved. So we've got the SCOBYs in there, and we have some green tea. You always save, sorry, not green tea, some kombucha. You always save some kombucha from your last batch to start the new batch with. So there's my kombucha and my SCOBYs ready to go. But I can't put them into the tea when it's hot. Really, really important, okay? I've got this way, you've got your thermometer gauge on there. When you put the water in there, it's going to be really hot. It's going to be way off the scale up here. Okay, if you put your SCOBY in there when it's hot, it's going to kill the SCOBY. So you need to let your SCOBY go down to, not your SCOBY, you need to let your liquid here go down to room temperature. So anywhere between kind of 20 and 24, you see where it is now, actually it's on, you might not see too well on the camera, it's on 24. Anywhere around that temperature is fine. That's when you add your SCOBY mixture. But whatever you do, don't add the SCOBY to hot water, it will kill it. Okay, now when I add the tea, as I said, it comes to about here. I fill it up there with just cold water. That cold water kind of helps it cool down a bit more. You don't need to add hot water to it at all. And all that sugar will dissolve. I tend to put a wooden spoon in and keep on circulating it, and then you can see the sugar dissolve into the hot tea. So that's that part. I also remove the lid thing over here. So the lid I've got is over here. I don't really use it on this part. I save it for the flavouring part. And then you should have your little bit of cheesecloth over here. There's another bit over there. That will go over here, like so. And your elastic band will go around it. Okay, and that will allow it to breathe. So this is your first part of your brewing. Okay, this is brewing number 1. And it's either anaerobic or aerobic, I can't remember which way around it is, but this way you've got to let air get to it, hence the cloth over there. The cloth is there to stop any particles coming into it. Now you don't want to use kitchen towel or any kind of stuff like that, because any bit of fluff that gets into the SCOBY will grow bacteria around it and look really weird. So that is there to stop anything falling in, any particles falling in, but it will still allow it to breathe. When you do the second part in the bottling and the flavouring, that's when you have no air. So that I think is aerobic. So aerobic. No, sorry, yeah, this first one is aerobic. The other part is anaerobic, I think. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. So anyway, that's the first part done. I'll restart the video when I'm ready to pour the water into the jar. Okay, so it's now been half an hour, and these have cooled nicely. I'm just going to give them a little stir. And that is now ready to pour. So just give that one a stir as well. There we go. Right, so that literally goes over here. I've got my bag in there ready. So we just pour this in. Like this. Try not to spill any. There we go, one. Now we can take this out. Okay, so I'm just going to rinse my spoon. I don't want any tea leaves going in there. There we go, and I can see the sugar at the bottom there, so we're just going to stir that round. And that will slowly vanish. There we are, so that is now all dissolved, and just going to top it up now with some water. And I don't want to fill it all the way to the top, so the SCOBY is going to sit here. You want a nice large surface area for the SCOBY. Okay, that'll work better. If I fill it all the way up to here, the surface area of the SCOBY is almost half of what it would be if it was down here. So bearing in mind there's going to be a little tiny bit of kombucha in it, and the SCOBY wants to sit below, so I'm not going to fill it all the way up. There we are, so that's pretty good now. So the SCOBY will well, the liquid, the kombucha will take up to about there, and then the SCOBY will take up to about there, so it's just below here, so we get the full surface area up there. And the temperature at the moment, as I said, it's way too hot, so all I'm going to do now is cover it over, put the elastic band over when I stop filming, let it cool down till about 22 degrees, which may well be overnight actually now, because it is 7:30, so it'll take 3 or 4 hours. So in the morning I will add the kombucha and the SCOBY there to it, and then it's just a case of waiting for however long you want to wait. Now again, the waiting time is all down to you, down to personal flavour. The longer you leave it, the more sugar that will be eaten by it, so the less sugar will be inside it, but then the more bitter it will taste. So I experiment anything from 1 week to about 10 to 12 days. So yeah, just experiment with it, and we'll have a chat about that at some other point. So here we are, it's now the morning and this has cooled down nicely now. It's on 24 degrees. So we are ready to put our SCOBY and kombucha mixture in. So quite simply, that plops into there, like that. And that is now done. So that SCOBY will open up and it will end up covering the whole of the top layer there. In fact, I can probably get another inch or so of water out of that. As I said, I don't want it to go too high up here, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit more water into that. That's perfect, there we go. So any more than that and then I'll be reducing the surface area. So now this is ready, so I'll put that back on there, the elastic band back on there, and that is now ready. I'm going to put that into a dark cupboard down there where it will go for the next 10 days.